Movie number 17 on the road to 1000 is Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola movie from 1992. I've always meant to watch this one. Coppola is such a weird filmmaker to talk about. I guess with most artists, their early work tends to be their best work and their later work tends to not be so great. Of course, you do have some people that are still putting out quality material as they get older, and age doesn't seem to be a factor. But I think when you look at many of them, it's the early stuff that's great, and the latter stuff kind of lags behind, which as I'm aging has me a little bit worried. But Bram Stoker's Dracula is one that was like right in the middle for Coppola. So if you look at his filmography, before this movie, as I'm trying to bring up his filmography, before this movie, you have things like The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, Rumblefish, like all these movies that people really love and enjoy. And then after Bram Stoker's Dracula, you get Youth Without Youth, Tetro, Twixt, Megalopolis. Like there's such a huge, I guess you have Jack in there, but I'm not a fan of Jack. Some people are. I guess there's some nostalgia to it, but not my cup of tea. But Tetro's, I hated Tetro. I bought it thinking that there's no way it was going to be bad. This is the man who made Apocalypse Now. Like I actually remember going into Borders, not Barnes and Noble, Borders, going to their section and picking up this movie. It was encased. It was the Blu-ray because they didn't want you to steal it. So it was in one of those boxes. And it was like $30. And I did that for a few months. And it was right after college. This is like 2010. I graduated 2009. I got back from Australia. I lived there for a year. And I just started working, saved up money, and went in and bought this movie for $30. Went home, watched it, and was so angry, I returned the movie. So that's what you're getting with like late era Coppola. I mean, you watch Megalopolis, and I'm not somebody that's like, Megalopolis is secretly wonderful. I think Megalopolis is so messy. You have these great stills, like there's some still photos you can pull from it and post to Twitter that people are going to be like, wow, the visuals. But in the actual act of watching the movie, the dialogue, the camera work, the just choices made throughout, there's some great ones and then some that are just so infuriating. And Bram Stoker's Dracula is the middle ground, I think, between all of these. You definitely see the vision and skill that Coppola had employed in the decades leading up to Dracula, but it also starts to have a lot of the messiness and indulgence that plagues a lot of his later stuff, especially Megalopolis. So it feels closer to Megalopolis to me than it did Apocalypse Now, which was a little disappointing, especially because it starts off like with this epic fight. It's this like Vlad Dracula battling for his homeland when he wasn't yet a vampire. And the scenery is amazing. Like the colors for it's dramatic. You get these reds and oranges coming in. It's very gothic, very heavy. It's gorgeous. Like the first shot, the second shot, the third shot, I'm hooked and ready to give this movie all the praise, all the alms. I was already thinking about, I'm going to start the video being like, this is an underappreciated Francis Ford Coppola masterpiece in the first few minutes. And then the movie just continuously, scene by scene, goes off the rails and makes such dramatically weird choices throughout that it lost my interest about like 45 minutes into it. I also couldn't believe the cast. I didn't know anything about the movie. So when Keanu Reeves appeared on screen, I almost burst out laughing. I may have burst out laughing. He was not able to handle this role in the least. And the fact that everybody's trying to do accents, I know that there's some negativity around the fact that people don't do accents for certain movies. Like I watch Enemy at the Gates and they're all supposed to be Russian, but they're all just talking with a standard like American English accents. But watching Dracula, I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe I don't need to hear Keanu Reeves trying to do like a British accent. Maybe you should just talk with an American accent and we just ignore it and pretend. Some of the performances in this are good, but the characters are underwritten. The Actions are overwrought. They're really dynamic choices throughout the film, and I get why it's probably a movie some people love, because there is this energy to it and a propulsiveness to it, especially when you compare it to Eggers' Nosferatu. Like, Eggers is so measured and so restrained in what he's doing that I lean closer to Eggers' approach to it, that kind of controlled minimalism with dramatic shadowing and lighting and some of this just grand shots. Like, I'm thinking about when Nicholas Hoult is standing in the woods and the carriage rolls up and you're just kind of stunned by the beauty of the scene. Coppola is doing a little more romantic, melodramatic, big, because this was like a gothic romance in a way. Like, romanticism in the literary sense isn't necessarily romance as in Jane Austen. It's more romanticism in these like big melodrama, like castles, big emotion. Like, it's more of an aesthetic than it is a plot device. So there's a romanticism that I think he's trying to evoke, and he captures at times, but there's just a lack of restraint that also makes it feel so wild that it lost me. But again, that's going to be something that others absolutely love, and they will love this more than they loved Eggers, because while Eggers took this very cold and calculated approach to the story, Coppola embraces the bloodiness of it, right? Just that like warmth and heartbeats, and he takes it to the max. He turns the dial to 11. So there's something there that I get why people are gonna love it. Unfortunately for me, just didn't land. But there are some like sweet fights. The battle scenes are pretty good. I didn't expect to say that for a Dracula movie. One of my favorite topics in film is the fact that the 90s, like the late 80s throughout the 90s to the early aughts, had these epic action dramas that were in the vein of Dances with Wolves. When did Dances with Wolves come out? Dances with Wolves, as you get to see me Google things because I don't like editing. Yeah, Dances with Wolves comes out in 1990. And Last of the Mohicans came out when? Last of the Mohicans... Not 1992. Okay, so it was really, I think, Dances with Wolves that kind of set off the whole thing. And then you get Last of the Mohicans, you get Dracula, you get Legends of the Fall. That lead and kind of crescendo. I often think of the last film in this set as Gangs of New York was kind of the ultimate expression of this, and then it kind of fell off. But from 1990 to whenever Gangs of New York came out, you had all of these movies that were doing this epic kind of storytelling that had fights, that had longing and romance and drama. And Dracula is definitely in that vein. So it's another one of the long lists of those films. I need to just make a list of those films one day. But ranking it, where I'd rank it, I think I'd put it in the almost or not quite, maybe neutral. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm putting it at like a 5. Like 5 to me is like neutral, completely average. It's not a bad score. It's just the pros and cons kind of balance out. I think I'd put this at like a 4, 4 or 3, 3.5, just that almost not quite. It has some merit to it, but definitely something that if you're just trying to go through Coppola's filmography, or you really like the big, bold, brash things, I guess it's worth seeing overall, just to have a point of view on it, because it's one of those movies and Coppola is such an important filmmaker that it's worth seeing just to understand its context in his filmography and 90s cinema, I guess, because the box office did do really well. It was a $40 million budget and it made $215 million. So it was a film that people liked, critics liked it. It did well, but I can't imagine, like, as I was watching, I was just like, I can't imagine people in the 90s going to the theater, sitting there, watching this, and being like, I am content. If I was sitting in the theater and this was playing, I'd just be like, what is happening? What is happening? It's the same feeling I had watching Megalopolis. I was just like, John Voight is doing what right now? He's doing what right now? Okay.